Oh, I'm way late for this. Sorry, guys. Had my last client run a little long. Got my t-shirt on, though. Got my curtain out back. Very fashionable. So we're going to be quick and dirty here with my 5 best tips for building arms. Oh, I should have pumped up before this. How unacceptable. So actually, the first thing I want to make is genetics are a huge part of arms and how they look in the peak. Some guys are just born with a better peak than others. I've got kind of a flat one, unfortunately, as a taller guy. Long limbs, not flexing. Usually shorter guys, certain types of guys just have a better peak than others. So unfortunately, if you're not in that camp, it's going to be harder, but not impossible. So tip number 1 is actually let's write this down. All right. Can we see that? Set your ego aside, right? So this is not mentally your ego, but your ego in terms of how much weight you use, how much weight you put on the bar, how heavy the dumbbells are. If you're doing full body curls with each rep, swinging them up, you're not actually stimulating that muscle all that well. The bicep, right? 2 muscles in there. So instead of picking up the 50-pound dumbbells and doing half reps, drop that in half to 25 and really lower the tension. Increase the tension, lower the weight slowly, right? So tension over total weight, that is a big one. So focus less on the weight being moved and more on creating more tension, making it harder, okay? So a couple exercises, I'll actually post links in the group that put the muscle in a stretched position. A stretched position is great for the bicep, just extra tension on it when it's fully lengthened at an angle. So incline dumbbell curls, and I'll post a video of those with a really slow descent, and TRX curls, same thing. It really isolates your biceps. You can't do anything else but use your biceps to pull yourself back up to even. So that's another good one, and typically not many people have seen that one, so I will make sure I post a video in the group for that. All right, so the third tip, actually I haven't numbered this, I have no idea if it's tip 3 or 4, is something called the Brachialis. No, it's not a dinosaur. It's this little third elbow flexor in your arm, in between the biceps, underneath, that by targeting that muscle, you can make your bicep pop a little more. So how do you do that? Well, a few exercises. For one, and I'll also post a link for that, is the single arm preacher curl, which I think I invented this. I'm taking credit for it anyway. I've seen others do it now. But that's where you take a hammer grip, right? You're holding a hammer. Hopefully you can see this. And you're on a preacher bench. So there's that angle. And one arm at a time, really isolating your forearm, but it actually targets brachialis as well. So you'll feel the tension in your forearm and in that area. So pretty much anything that is considered a forearm exercise hits the brachialis. So you want to make sure you don't neglect that in your training. Don't just have open palm curls throughout your workout. Give it about an even, or at least a 2-to-1 split to open palm to hammer grip. So we can break that down in more detail at some point. All right, and the other tip is one that's often neglected nowadays. I think what's to blame for this is, you know, those handheld squeezy things that your dad used? They've gone by the wayside. But grip strength is still important for men, especially with us nowadays. We don't do much labor. I know I don't. If I have something broken in my house, I hire a guy who's much more qualified to do it. I'm not one of those handyman, blue-collar dads that can do everything. So if that's you, by all means, good for you. But if not, in fact, there was one study done that showed this is really in decline, and it's kind of linked to testosterone levels and all this higher level stuff that I don't want to get into tonight. But nonetheless, grip strength is big. So what can you do for that? Is not always using straps for certain exercises. Using fat grips, if you have those, or your gym has them, they make you really grip the bar harder. That it thickens up the bar. It's getting kind of weird direction here with thickening stuff. And you use that, and it just forces your grip to get stronger, right? So anything that's grip strength focused is a good thing. Not always using straps when it comes to deadlifts. At a certain point, you're going to have to strap up. But until you have to, try to go without it. All right, so let's review those 4 quick tips. I think I had to keep it under 5 minutes, but I've probably blown past that. Is number 1, check your ego at the door of the gym. Don't take it with you. Don't try to show up the guy in the wife beater, tank top, who is lifting more weight than he should be. So really focus on constant tension on the muscle. Tension over total weight is number 2. So that means slowing down, full range of motion, choosing exercises that put your bicep in a stretched position, really maximizes growth. Brachialis is not extinct. It's not a dinosaur. It is an elbow flexor in your arm that can actually make your bicep pop underneath. You grow that, and it makes everything bigger. So the brachialis can be targeted with single arm hammer curls. I particularly like the preacher curl because of this. It also combines the stretch with the hammer grip. And also wrist and forearm work is good for the brachialis. That's number 3. And number 4, there was 4 on this list, is don't neglect your grip strength. So get one of those handy grip things that they still make them. Use fat grips on bicep exercises to really force your grip to work harder. And don't always use straps when it comes to heavier stuff like deadlifts. All right? There's your arm tips. Unfortunately, there's no tip for increasing your phallus size, as one of you requested, not to name names, Paul Turner. But nonetheless, we'll get that on a future video. All right? We'll see you guys in the group. That's it.